Good Friday afternoon to each and every one. I am Wiley checking in live from my office. T. Uh, I was thinking about politics, really thinking about politics. And here's what I was thinking. It was related to an experience that I had this holiday season and just how it shows up in my life. So this is the Wiley Report, the Friday edition, thoughts as we drink coffee and tea, coffee thoughts. So during the holidays, this was after Christmas, my wife and I headed to Indy just to, get away and just go do something fun, especially after being in the house for a while. And partly it was because I had had eye surgery. And so I really wasn't going many places. And she had been out of town visiting her sisters and mother and stuff. So we just decided, hey, let's ride to Indy. It's a nice day. Snowmageddon and things like that had not happened. So we rode and looked around and went to different stores. And she had headed to Home Goods. And in that same shopping plaza is K&G. And it had been a while since I'd gone in that store. And so as I was in there, looking at things, buying, would I buy something? There was a older white man that was in the dressing area looking for getting fitted for something because I was in the other area. And then I saw him again. At the checkout. There was one guy in front of me as you're checking out. And I bring it up because he had a service animal and he was explaining to the guy behind him the reason that he had a service animal and the benefits of having one, because he was a retired vet. And he was talking about how, the service animal was really good because if he, woke up at night and had, night terrors or things of that nature, the animal would pull the sheets off the bed, pull the cover off, and lay his paw on his chest, and just different things that he was sharing with this gentleman, about that you could get a service animal to, and that it was really helpful. It didn't matter the level of disability that you had, or if you even had one. He was saying you could get a service animal because you were a veteran. And I bring this up because this relates to politics. Politics is basically, it's about governance. It is about the governance of a state, the governance of an area, interests of groups. So when we think about Democrats, think about Republicans, their ideals, that represent that particular group of people. Or when we think about city government, your local county commission, how your city, wherever you live, what are the rules, the regulations, and procedures that go and align with that particular city. Or think about your state, or if you live in a county, and how laws, rules, and regulations go. And politics came up because he had on a shirt that said he was running for, he was 7th congressional district, and he was running for Congress. He didn't say that then. I Googled it later because I didn't know who the guy was. I was just listening because he gave me a flyer that basically shared his beliefs. But I bring that up because when he was introducing himself in the line, he kept saying, I'm not really about politics, which was confusing to me because I was like, but your shirt says, 7th congressional district. And this isn't a video or a statement to bash, malice, or shade the man. I was just saying, I often wonder, do people really think about what the words are that they mean when they say things? If you're not about politics, but you're running for Congress, it means when you run for Congress, most people, or run for any office, it means because you have an interest in the city, interest in the state, interest in rules, regulations, laws, in being a part of that process, in speaking for others, or bringing whatever it is that your level of expertise or what you plan to bring to in that role to do that. And so it just threw me off to keep hearing him say that he's not into politics, he just want to help people. And I'm not saying that what he was saying isn't true, because that's his statement. I don't know him, but I was just thinking that does relate on some levels, that relates to care, compassion, kindness for the everyday citizen. But the fact that you're wearing a shirt that says 7th congressional district means you don't want to just do that for the people that the people that you have influence over, or the people that you meet. You want to do it for the people that are representative of that area. And I just thought about that in terms of, politics, and how people say, I'm not into politics. And I'm often like, well, do you really know what that means? Have you really thought about what it means when you say politics, uh, and how that shows up in your life? It brings to mind. I was thinking, on my podcast, Encouraging Your Spirit, I had a pastor that was talking about his book. And I remember he made a statement that we should take politics out of church. That's another phrase. At that time, I didn't, dispute his statements. I feel people are allowed to say whatever they want to say. I was there to talk about the book, because the book that he wrote, Does God Have a Gay Agenda, is a fascinating book. I think people should get it and read it. But I was thinking about how, people have politics in the different connotations of that word. He was speaking about politics in terms of he didn't think politics should be in church. I've seen, during the holiday season, people were saying, hey, when you're going to visit your family members or your friends or whomever, let's not have conversations about politics. Or people believe you shouldn't have, conversations about politics in church. And I was just thinking about, my experience, and perhaps my experience is a person that identifies as Black, a person that identifies as trans. But in my experience, when I look, even before, the identity of LGBTQIA as A plus was ever part of my vocabulary, or before I knew what it was, I can always remember Blackness. And I can always remember that in church, it was a space where people talked about rules, regulations, city, state, federal government laws, rules, and their applicability to you, me, us. And most of the people that were in that church, or the primary target audience, if you will, or the primary group of people, were Black people. And politics always started there. And it wasn't like it was done at the 11 o'clock sermon. It was done in different informational sessions, so that you, me, us knew in the city that I grew up in, because I grew up in Georgia. You knew who was running, for office. You knew what their views were, and you could make a decision about, did that align with what you believe? Were you going to vote for that particular person? It also related to the way rules and regulations. That's a local entity as well. When you think about groups and how we run groups or small groups, think about small groups in your church, or their rules and regulations. They might not necessarily be laws, but it is about governance. And so it just throws me off when people say they're not about politics, but I'm like, okay, what do you mean when you say it? And my deep concern that oftentimes we have to think about the words that we're saying. What does it mean when you say it? And when you're running for office, what does it mean when you say you're not into politics? Does that mean, you'll help people regardless if they're Democrat or Republican? You'll help people regardless of whatever their affiliation is? What exactly does that mean? And I didn't ask that guy that question because, one, I was just there to shop. Two, I don't live in Indiana. So his running for office has zero effect for me. At least that's the way I was thinking of it. I could be wrong, but at that time, I was like, I don't think it really affects me. It doesn't affect me at this present time to ask him his deeper thoughts on, his views. When I got out of the car and read some of his views and his flyer, I was like, I wouldn't vote for him anyway, because our views don't align. That's not negative. It's just saying we don't believe in the same thing. So I can't vote for you. I don't believe in the same things you believe in, but I'm not for what you're for. And some of the ones that he's for violate me. So, and individuals that identify as women. So just thinking about that. So that's my point today, is think about the words that we're speaking, whether it's politics, whether it's governance. Do you understand the words that you're saying? What does it mean when you say them? Do I believe that politics should be in church? Yes, I do believe politics should be in church. No, I don't believe that Jesus is an evangelical, that Jesus is a Democrat or a Republican. No. But when I think about politics being in church, I mean this. I think that church holds a space where there is an audience for individuals to come and talk about topics that go on everyday life. Things do affect us each and every day. And why not use the space and the time and pick times to talk about these matters, to encourage, foster dialogue, teachable moments. That does not mean that all the conversations that you're going to have on any given subject are going to be happy-go-lucky, kumbaya moments. Tension might show up in the room, but I think it's what we do with that tension. It's what we do in those conversations. Is that you find individuals that are experts or have some level of expertise and awareness and instruction that can shed light on different topics. And why not use the space? And I'm not saying we have to physically do that, but the different platforms that are available for people to do that, digital spaces, to have conversations about well-needed topics on so many different things. Why can't church be that space that you re-envision what it means to provide instruction, provide resources, to connect individuals, to encourage, to educate, to empower individuals on a wide array of topics? Politics. And I think, the reality is politics affects people differently too, because it affects people differently based on your socioeconomic, race, gender, orientation, expression, identity, in different ways. So there are ways that rules, regulations, city, state, federal affect me that will not affect somebody else that looks and has different identities than me. Let's just be honest and say that oftentimes I think that's another reason why people don't necessarily do politics, because we don't really want to have those conversations. And it's not just that we don't want to have those conversations, it's what will you do with that conversation? Because you can talk about it all day, but do you have the power to change it? That's all I got. I thank you for tuning in to the Wiley Report. Just thoughts. I hope what I've said is clear. Politics. I'm just asking you to think about it. That's all I'm saying. And this was an experience that I had over the holidays, and it didn't leave, and it keeps coming up because you'll hear people talk about that, at work or different places. That's all I got. Hope y'all have a great day.